Friends, our service is about to begin. I would ask you, if you have a cellular device, to please turn it to the off position. Officiating our service today will be Rabbi Eliezer DeMarcy.
Mizmor David Adonai Elohim Yitzor Binos Deshe Yad B'Tzein Yad Meimenuchos Yad Leini Nafshi Yishoy Yad Cheni B'Maglei Tzedek Leman Shmo Gam Kielech Begitz Al Maves Lo Yirara Ki Ata Yadi Shiftecho Mishantecha Hema Yinachamoti Darok Lefanai Shulcha Neged Tzarei Tishamta B'Shem En Roshi Kos Revaya Ach Tov V'Chesed Yirdelfoni Kol Yemei Chayai V'Shavti B'Beis Adonai Le'orech Yamim. It's hard to believe that such energetic, strong, full of health, with clear mind, person who excelled in every goal he put for himself in life, and especially a person full of health and strength, suddenly left us. And it was hard to believe when family got a phone call, and it's still hard to believe. Because as hard as it is when somebody gets sick, unfortunately we witness a slow decline. Somehow we have time to prepare ourselves, but not here. Not here, because Yakov and Sofa were making plans. They were making plans to go on vacation. There was a whole life ahead of them. And all of a sudden, it's interrupted. Really, it's a big shock. And, especially Yasha, he was so much for so many people, starting with his family and with all the friends, all the people who came here, his friends, his co-workers, Sofa's friends, Lana's friends, Ya's friends. He was surrounded throughout his life with so many people, especially here in America. He achieved so much that he was part of something bigger, and now that part is missing. And we go back to understand and to try to really understand what part, what role he played in our lives. Looking at his life, how he started, it's really amazing, because it's not enough to see what a person achieved. We have to look back where he started from, with what resources or lack of them. He was a post-war child. He had two older siblings, Leonia and Jana. Unfortunately, we lost in the past years, not far ago, not long ago. He grew up without a father, and that's how his life started. A regular person in Ukraine, going through the regular steps of education, being Jewish, which was much harder for him to achieve things that he did achieve. He was a very devoted son, first of all. Having two other children, his mother, whatever, in the middle of the night, whenever something happens, she called him. She called Yasha because there was a special bond between him and her. And she knew that he will get up in the middle of the night and go to the other end of the city and help her with whatever she needs. And then when he was building his own life with Sofa, 47 years, it's a long stretch of time, and there was so much. They went through thick and thin. They wanted to leave, they got refused, almost 10 years. In the end, they were not sure even maybe we shouldn't go. But his brother Leonia said no, he came before, and he encouraged them, and it was the right decision, now looking back. And they picked up, not a young man anymore, but they picked up and they came here. And because he was so bright, he was so educated, there, our lives of immigrants is divided between then, there, and here. So over there, he already had a great career. He studied English, which wasn't so common. And therefore, when he came here, he already had a little head start. He knew the language. He was a high-quality specialist in his field, mechanical engineering. And he was noticed very soon, very quick. He was noticed. And he worked for many, many years, 25 years approximately, close to 30 years. The Hydra Force, a company where he had patents, he achieved a lot, and he was respected, and he was always energetic and moving forward and thinking and inventing. He was very proud that he was able to achieve everything himself. Because, being from where he comes from, he knew he could trust himself. He didn't trust the government, he didn't trust the services there, and therefore it was very important for him to be able to be self-sufficient, to trust him. He was able to trust himself, that he knew. And that's why he grew to be a person who could do pretty much everything what life demands. He did taxes for himself, for the entire family. He fixed his car, which is not common here. And he did his own finances and planning and investing. He took care of his health because he understood this is his ticket to be the head of the family and to be able to provide to the family. It was his insurance, his health insurance, to be healthy. He started running, and I can't even tell you, I saw myself with my own eyes how many medals of the marathon, running the marathon he got. It was 30, 50, I never saw such a amount, 1, 2, 3, okay. He was 75 now, not 75. He was running to the last second of his life, not just to run marathons. And because he was so demanding of himself, that's how he raised his children. They didn't like it always. It wasn't such, soft and fuzzy. He was very demanding father, but for the same reason, because he wanted them to grow up, to be achievers, to be self-sufficient. This is very important for him. And he was very proud of them, because they turned out that's how he wanted. Both specialists and professionals. Lana started running marathons also. We were together sometimes. He saw in his children, in many ways, continuation of himself. And what else could parent want? To see that your children are growing. Of course, each one is different and different personalities, a different path, but in general, the same view and the same abilities and skills, and that's what he instilled in his children. And when the third generation came, it was He was a great grandfather, not always showing his love, because again, that's what, we came from a different place, different country, the emotions were not so popular. But for Daniel, Zachary, and Joseph, Sebastian, Rihanna, he was a good grandfather, a good role model. And when they grow up, I hope they will appreciate even more. So he played many roles. He was an amazing husband, devoted husband. And they had, as I said, many plans in life. They wanted to travel. The life was almost starting. When he retired, there was a lot of plans. They wanted to travel the world. And the father, the grandfather, and so many friends here. And he came from an old school. He was very frugal. Just because when you earn your own money, every penny, you cherish it. It's not an easy come, easy go. You earned it, and therefore, if it was necessary, there's no question, there's no limit. When it was not necessary, he felt it's not necessary. Great friend, and energy and love of life till the last moment. He loved to run, and that's what the last thing he did. And I think it's, even if we take it this running, it was, that's what his life was, constantly moving, constantly achieving, constantly not being afraid to learn new things, and constantly remembering that you're responsible for people you love, and doing everything and being ready to be there for your wife, for your children, your grandchildren, for their spouses, children's spouses, to be there anytime, to be able to share your wisdom, your time. And he's a great example. He's a great example of a true man, a true hero. And before I continue, I would like to invite Lana and Ilya to say a few words.
I'm going to preface this by saying that if anyone who knew my dad well, then you all know that neither me nor my dad really liked to give toasts or speeches. But it is genuine, it's from my heart to him. As I learned the horrible news about my father's unexpected death, I suddenly had a flood of memories on my mind. It is common knowledge that a child doesn't typically form a memory before the age of 2.5. But the earliest memory I can recall was being a toddler, and my dad rocking me to sleep in his arms, watching all the glassware in the credenza swinging back and forth. I remember him buying me my very first set of yellow cross-country skis and taking me to learn to ski when I was 5 years old after school. I remember picking mushrooms in the forest and then having them cooked at the lodge where we were staying. I remember cracking hazelnuts open with a brick while on vacation in Crimea. I remember being terrified when he got hurt in a car accident and had ugly-looking stitches on his lip. We began our immigration process to the U.S. when I was 10, and he was forcing me to learn English while we were waiting to leave Italy. I used to get so mad because all I wanted to do was play and be a kid. As we came to the U.S., he was always working hard to ensure that his children were able to attend college. He was very strict, and while everyone was partying in college, I had a curfew of 12 a.m. He didn't have a lot of free time, but he enjoyed being active. He taught me how to play tennis and how to downhill ski. He became an avid long-distance runner and ran his first marathon when he was 55. It was his hobby for as long as I could remember, and he was quite amazing at it, running a total of 30 marathons with 7 Bostons. I often thought that he was crazy for running as far as he was, making sacrifices, waking up early, traveling to races. Little did I know then that I will also become just as crazy. As I became an adult and had children of my own, I caught his running bug. He was always there to guide me and give advice. He was my biggest role model in so many ways, and was my number one fan. He taught me to work hard and never give up. He would help with any task at hand, and somehow always knew all the answers. He was extremely proud of his kids' accomplishments and liked to brag about it to his friends and anyone that would listen. As I got older, he was no longer just my father, but also my best friend. I could share any secret with him. I deeply valued his advice, whether it was finances, fixing cars, running, or just life. I was looking forward to many more races with him and daily conversations. I was looking forward to watching him now and be proud of his grandkids' accomplishments. He was taken from me and from all of us too early. I will always cherish him, and he will continue to run with me for the rest of my life. I love you, Dad.
My father was a man of unique character, embodying both special qualities and complexities. His life was marked by a regimented discipline, from his rigorous fitness routines to his unwavering commitment to frugality. He was more than just a man trying to save money. He was a visionary, meticulously planning every expenditure to ensure the finest life for his children. His dedication extended to the minutiae of life, like meticulously researching which grocery store offered the most affordable grapes each week, always striving to optimize his spending. To some, his frugality may have seemed extreme. He was labeled as incredibly economical, never allowing anything to go to waste. Each week, he would salvage the imperfect fruits abandoned in the fridge by my sister and me, carefully cutting away the spoiled parts to cherish the good. This was a man who rose from humble beginnings, determined to shield his children from the hardships he faced. His savings were not for personal luxury, but a legacy for my sister and I. As he aged, we often encouraged him to indulge in the fruits of his labor, to relish his life's earnings, yet he persisted in living modestly, intent on providing a brighter future for us. It was a mindset I couldn't grasp in my youth, but now as a parent myself, the depth of his love and sacrifice resonates deeply. He aspired above all for us to have a life filled with opportunities he never had. His passion for running mirrored his approach to finances, viewed by many as excessive, even obsessive. His fitness regimen often led to his late arrival at family gatherings, which we initially interpreted as prioritizing exercise over family. However, with time and understanding, we recognized this too was an act of love. He was adamant about not repeating the health mistakes of his estranged father, striving for a healthier life to extend his time with us, his children, and eventual grandchildren. In a poignant twist of fate, it was during one of his cherished runs that he left this world. As much as we mourn his passing, there is a bittersweet comfort in knowing he departed doing what he loved most. We find solace in imagining him continuing his runs in the afterlife, exploring celestial paths with the same fever and joy he exhibited in every stride on earth. Reflecting on his life, we begin to see the layers of his actions, the profound extent of his sacrifices for my sister and I. From personal relinquishments to the valuable lessons imparted throughout our childhood, our gratitude knows no bounds. We remember him for the challenges he faced alone, for us, and alongside us. We recall with fondness the quirky, joyful moments that brought laughter into our lives and the wisdom he imparted. To be profoundly missed, yet eternally remembered and forever cherished in our hearts. We love you, Dad, and hope your spirit continues to run free and joyous, just as you did in life.
I think if we would ask Yasha himself, how did he see, how did he evaluate his life? I think the way we see it, the way I see it, he accomplished everything that he set goals for. He raised a beautiful family, he had a good, fulfilling career, he had a job that he loved, he did things in life that he loved, and he knew that he's leaving behind him a legacy, many generations of his family, and the lessons that he taught them. I think it's a pretty good life. And although, of course, we would love to have him here more, but he achieved his goal. He achieved his goal in life. And I think what we can take out to try to build our lives in the same way, without regrets, and knowing that everything we dreamt for, we achieved. No wasting time. We all have 24 hours, each one of us, but we spend them differently. And he really packed his days to get out the most what he could get out from those 24 hours. He was never seen idle, never bored, never depressed, always living, always moving. And another thing we can take out is that we never know what will tomorrow bring. And therefore, try to do everything we want to say to our loved ones, we do for them, do it today, because you never know what will be tomorrow. And at this point, I will say a prayer where we will pray, we'll ask God to grant Yakov Beyrak, Yakov the Brahman, the highest possible place. May his soul be married to the highest possible place, that of the most righteous Jewish heroes, husbands, fathers. And I will ask everybody to rise for this prayer, and in the end, answer Amen. Please rise. El male rachamim, shoychen bamrovim. Hamtze menucha nechona, al kanfei השכינה. במעלות קדושים וטהורים, כי זוהר הרקיע מזכירים. Es nishmas Yakov ben Raman שהלך לעולמו. בעבור שמשפחתו תיתן לצדוק עד אזכורס נשמתו. בגן עדן תחיה מנוחתו. לכן בעל הרחמים יסתירהו בסתר כנפיו לעולמים. ויצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתו, אדוני הוא נחלתו. וינוח בשלום על משכבו, ונאמר אמן. Thank you. Please take your seats.
Friends, our service here is concluded. We're going to proceed to the burial service in just a moment. I would ask that any of you who have a vehicle with any room in it to please help us to transfer the flowers to the graveside if you're able. It would be appreciated. Those gentlemen who are out there who are able to help us to transfer the casket to our hearse, it would be very much appreciated. At this time, I would ask any of you who are able to do that, gentlemen, please invite it up to the front. Thank you.
Yeah, it's an honor to be a pallbearer, so we ask 6 men to step forward.